got to phase out Social Security. They're saying freedom doesn't work. You can't just push the button and repeal this program because freedom doesn't work. There'll be people dying in the streets. Nonsense. Nonsense. We have family values. We have church groups. We have ameliocenary groups. We have charitable groups. We would have the foundation for the former Social Security recipients that would come through. But that's the fact to communicate to the American people that freedom works. We don't need to fear it. Ditch Medicare. Immediately, Medicare, it destroyed the finest healthcare system in history. That's the root cause of America's healthcare crisis. Mandates, oh yeah, it's great to oppose mandates, but it's not enough. Because if all you do is spend your time in your presidential race opposing mandates on vaccines and masks, what you're really saying is keep the apparatus there, but put libertarians or free market conservatives in charge of it. That's not freedom. Freedom is separating healthcare and the state entirely, keeping the government totally out of healthcare. As you all know, in the two major parties, their strategy in presidential races is to do focus groups and polling and surveying to pick out the 2 or 3 most popular positions. That model has been copied in presidential races. So the presidential candidate picks out 2 or 3 popular positions in the Fed, popular one party. Downsize government, yeah. Make government smaller. Bring the troops home. I don't do that. You look at my website, I take a position, both written, video, and in Spanish, on every burning issue facing our country. 23 issues. I want every single person over the next 14 months to know exactly where I stand as a libertarian, including in the party and out the party. And you need to know something else about me. I don't like Republicans. Woo! This idea that libertarians have, or some libertarians have, of endorsing Republicans, playing Republicans, complimenting Republicans, giving them attaboys, that's not my playbook. Republicans are just as responsible as Democrats bringing this country down the plight that it's in today. With their out-of-control spending, their out-of-control debt, $31 trillion, their monetary debauchery, getting us close to nuclear war in Ukraine because they ginned up that crisis with the Pentagon and NATO. And we need to hold them to account. You'll see that on my website. I'm taking Trump to task, DeSantis, Haley, Pompeo, just like Biden and Harris, equally. Because they both need, not on a personal basis, you'll see I don't do any personal attacks. It's all on issues and philosophy as to what they're doing to take our country down. Now, I understand the strategy here of the standard Libertarian Party presidential candidate. Look, I assume many of you are members of Mesa's caucus here. Okay, thank you for your endorsement. Okay, thank you for your endorsement last time. Tremendous asset for me. It really was fantastic. But I disagree with this, one of the central elements of political strategy here, and that's the Ron Paul revolution. We're trying to reproduce the Ron Paul revolution. Well, guess what? Ron Paul, this is not Ron Paul's party. Ron Paul was in that party. When he ran for LP presidential candidate, he got 1% of the vote or less. 0.44. Okay, okay. Less than 1%, the standard 1 to 3, well, less than 1 to 3%. When he ran over there, it was the Ron Paul revolution. And that's what's been trying to copy ever since. It'll never work. It has never worked. It will never work. It is an inherently defective strategy. Now, why is that so? Okay, and so what's the strategy? Well, let's adopt Republican reform measures. Okay, and so the libertarian message is one of mush. It's been mush for 25 years. It's a mush that consists of Republican reform measures and libertarianism. It's like mixing black paint and white paint. The result is not going to be any white. It's going to be all black or maybe dark gray. You're not going to see any white. And that's what happened when you mix these two things. Classic example, school vouchers. It's an essential element here in this party. Party hierarchy sends out fundraising letters with it. They hire speakers to promote vouchers. The candidates, the state, it's all accepted.
Abolish government schools.
Except for the fact that it violates the libertarian non-aggression principle. And why is that important? Because it's the core principle of our party. We each sign a pledge not to support the initiation of force, and it's all done with vouchers. Don't talk about it, Jake. Don't talk about it. Phase out Social Security over 50 years, even though you're using the care and compassion of the IRS to collect the money for the next 50 years. And that's the message that's been sent out. That's why this party is known in the mainstream press and described in the mainstream press as a right-wing party, as a subset of the Republican Party, because we've been placating them in order to get those Ron Paul voters. That's why there's endorsements of Republican candidates, attaboys, because we're trying to get those Ron Paul voters, and they're never going to vote for a libertarian presidential candidate. Never. It's a defective strategy. Okay, Ron never won the Republican nomination, as you all know. Okay, so that Ron Paul revolution was in the primary season. When Gary Johnson got the nomination in 2012, they should have come over in droves to Gary, and they didn't. He got 3% or so, and then 2012 he gets Bill Weld to come through this revolving door that's been established between the Republican Party and the Libertarian Party, and he gets 3.3% or something. They didn't come over. And you know why they didn't come over? You know why they'll never come over? Why didn't they come over for Joe? Joe gets 1.1%. I'll tell you why. I'll show you why. Bill Weld. Bill Weld was being groomed for the 2020 presidential nomination, the one I ran in 3 years ago. We often forget that. He was being featured in interviews, news, magazine articles within the movement, fundraising letters, fundraising drives. The party hierarchy was going to make Weld the nominee. He was the fair-haired boy. He was their selection. He goes back to the revolving door to go back to the Republican Party to run against Trump in the primaries. How many of his supporters, including the party hierarchy, followed him? Zero. None of them followed him. They believed he wanted to be president. They wanted to be the nominee. In fact, one of the most revealing episodes in this whole thing was when the Washington Post columnist George Will wrote an article in the Washington Post. George Will is Mr. Conservative. He is Mr. Republican. Wrote an article in the Washington Post called "Can This Man Save Conservatism?" He's endorsing Bill Weld to be the Libertarian Party presidential nominee. Can this man save conservatism? That's what the Libertarian Party has become. And there was no pushback because they considered it a compliment. Publicity, Jacob, publicity. As if any publicity is good publicity. But they grew because party loyalty mattered more to them than their devotion to Bill Weld, the man they thought should be the nominee and president. That's exactly what the Ron Paul voters feel. Their devotion to party loyalty trumps any Libertarian Party presidential candidate over here. They're never going to cross party lines. Now, does that mean that we're doomed? That we're doomed? Well, we're doomed if that's our target audience, the Republican Party. But I argued 3 years ago that a campaign based on pure libertarian principles, we are libertarians. We don't need their reform positions. Our positions are positions of liberty. And I said, this is the campaign we should be running. And I ran in primaries. I announced early on, I'm going to compete kind of platform, can win votes. And I won that North Carolina primary. I won 7 out of 9 primaries with this kind of message. 7 out of 9. Now, these are not inside the party little conventions. This is elections out there. And one of the reasons I won in North Carolina is one of the groups I targeted. Black people. I've said for 30 years, this is a gold mine of votes for us. You talk about mass incarceration, the drug war, asset forfeiture, bigoted judges, long jail sentence, mandatory minimum sentences. Blacks will respond to us, Republican-like message, in other words, the standard Libertarian Party, but they will come with us, I'm convinced of it, with a principled message. I got I campaigned heavily among Black people in North Carolina. I got a really favorable article in a newspaper there, the main newspaper in Raleigh by a black columnist at the major black newspaper in town. And I ended up winning that primary, and I have no doubts. We went into Libertarian Party members organized a leaflet drop at the poorest black area in Wilmington. We were there. No other presidential candidate showed up. We invited them because these aren't well-to-do Republicans. First time ever, these people had whites in their neighborhood asking for their vote. Wasn't the first time. I ran for U.S. Senate in 2002. I concentrated on people in the black community. I looked up where their concerts were, where their picnics were, where all their events were, and I was there talking to them, passing out my brochure. I got endorsed by one of the most prominent black ministers in the country. He got elected to the African American Hall of Fame. It's there on my website at jacobforliberty.com in the biographical section. You can read it. He says, Mr. Hornberger, take this letter to other black ministers, tell them where I stand. I was running against the most popular governor in Virginia history, John Warner, just after 9/11, where I'm saying that the U.S. government has foreign policy has produced these attacks. There's no way any Republican's going to vote for me. Democrats didn't even run anybody. There was a LaRouche running. She got all the Democrat votes. No Democrats will vote for me, calling for the abolition of Social Security and Medicare. I got over 100,000 votes, and there's no doubt in my mind they came from black people. This is one of our target audiences. 2, people who don't vote. That's half the population. This is a gold mine for us, at least half in some elections. But they're not going to vote. Why are they not voting? Because they know the whole system stinks. Whether they vote for a Republican or a Democrat, it stinks. And they're not going to be encouraged to go out there and vote by your standard Republican-oriented libertarian presidential candidate. They're going to sit at home. But you present a radical campaign of pure libertarian principles, dismantle this whole system, dismantle this part of the system, dismantle the national security establishment, abolish the CIA, abolish the Pentagon, abolish these things. You will get their attention. Gold mine of votes. And finally, Hispanics. I've been saying this for 30 years. We are the only party that calls for open borders. Now, I'm sure if you did a survey of Hispanics today, they would say, oh, no, we favor controlled borders. But that's only because they've never heard the principal case for open borders. The moral case, the religious case, the economic case. This is our heritage. We had open immigration for more than 100 years in this country. They don't know that. I was told for all the years I've been in this party, Hispanics will only go with Democrats, Jacob. They'll never come with libertarians. Google Hispanics and Republican Party and see what's happening among Hispanics moving to the Republican Party. And I'm sitting there shaking my head saying, my gosh, they could have been our voters. But they still can be by concentrating on these issues. I'm convinced that if we take these 3 groups and adopt the Ron Paul message, I mean, it's not a bad strategy. It's just targeting the wrong people with the wrong message. But if you go after what Hillary called the deplorables, among these 3 groups of people, that will vault us out of this 1 to 3% area and get us into the 7 and 10%, maybe even higher range. We are libertarians. That's who we are. And we need to fight as libertarians. I said this 3 years ago. Our principles are our greatest asset. For all too long, I've heard this thing about our principles are a liability. They're an albatross. Oh, we can't get votes. And that's true. If you're targeting Republicans or mainstream white Americans, well-to-do Americans, but you go after the disgruntled people, the people outside the Republican Party with our message, and I have no doubts that we can prevail electorally. So I'm on 2 tracks here. I'm asking you 1, the more important track, restore the libertarian brand of principled libertarianism. That's the most important thing I'm here for. But secondly, come with me. Because I am certain that running a campaign of principle for the party of principle is what will break us out of this 1 to 3% category and break us into 7 to 10%, which would be nice recompense for those of you. What are you here for? You're building the structure of this party. And you're not doing it for recompense. You're doing it for the same reason I'm doing it, because you want to live in a free society. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to go and see your neighbors and talk to your friends after getting into that 7 to 10% category where you got a higher degree of profile and respectability with your principles. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hornberger. All right, so I think our plan is point of our agenda to break for lunch. I am not sure if our lunch has arrived thus far. Mr. Franklin, yes, just walked out. Okay. So I heard from our other speaker, they're going to get here around 1:30 or 1:45. They're running a little bit late. That's someone from Rank My Vote. So we will push back that guest speaker until about that time. So once we hear if there's any update about the timing for our lunch, I think we can decide whether or not to move into our remaining elections or we can break for lunch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jim Fuller, Wixom County. I move to amend the agenda to at this time begin the nominating process for first vice chair and to continue through nominations until the time lunch arrives.
Okay. Is there a second for the motion? Do we have any opposition? Hearing none, we will do exactly that. So we will move now to our nominations for the office of first vice chair. I open the floor for nominations. Do you want to approach the microphone?
I would like to Ryan from the Upper Peninsula delegation. I would like to nominate Mr. Ben DeYoung for first vice chair.
Second. Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Do we have further nominations for first vice chair?
Hi, Leah from Oakland County. I'd like to nominate myself.
Do we have a second for the nomination? Leah with the mic drop. I believe I heard a second, so that nomination is accepted. Do we have any further nominations?
Jim Fuller, Wixom County. I rise to nominate Mary Bazooka.
Have you heard from Mary to confirm that she accepts the nominations? Mr. DeYoung, are you prepared to speak?
The majority of you and had some really good discussions on where we'd like to take this party. The reason why I'm interested in the first vice chair is there is a lot, I think, of silos in our affiliates. And I'd really like to be able to work together and have a much better support structure for those affiliates. So it's long as like looking at bylaws, looking at how do we team together to find like growth. That's going to be a huge thing. Is I'd love to be able to see this. We wouldn't be able to have a convention here next year because we've outgrown this. So my main goal is to be able to support the affiliates as well as grow the affiliates. Thank you.
Ms. Daly, would you like to speak for 10 minutes? If you guys would also like, you can ask additional people to speak.
Sure.
Same, go through that.
Most of you know me. My name is Leah Daly from Oakland County. 8 months ago, I joined the membership committee with the sole purpose of aiding in membership and affiliate growth. I took on the task of calling new members, welcoming them to the party, helping them figure out their affiliate, who their affiliate chair was, and when and where they met. I've worked with the affiliate chairs throughout the state, made their contact lists. I've worked hard to keep the state party website up to date with affiliate information. You could say I've been working as a pseudo affiliate director for the last 8 months. And it was my goal to be elected to the role. But with some of the recent leadership drama that's been going on, I had my doubts if I wanted that role. And I shared with a few other members that I said, whoever's in that position, I can just help them. That's part of my mission within the party is membership growth. And another reason I've been so disheartened with all the drama as well. And I still have hope that we can bring the party together. Especially if I'm in the position of Vice Chair 1 on this board. In that case, we would have a better chance at peaceful resolution with the folks in Lansing. I don't want it to go nuclear, and I don't want to split the party. We're small enough as it is, guys. We've got to work together. And if you agree with that, then vote for me, please.
Thank you, Ms. Daly. Mr. Fulner, would you like to speak on behalf of Ms. Bazuma? And if anyone else would like to also speak on her behalf, I would welcome that for a total of 5 minutes.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me be here. Thanks for letting me be a microphone hog. I've been a microphone hog at these conventions for over a decade at least. Ever since I first read the Complete Idiot's Guide to Robert's Rule of Order. I'm now well on my way to becoming a what's the word?
Parliamentarian.
Fuck it, I'm gonna get paid to tell you guys what to do one day as a parliamentarian. So in a few years, I'm gonna give me money to agree with him. Anyways, I rise today in support of Mary Bazuma for the position of first vice chair. If you don't know Mary personally, you probably at least heard her name, as she was our candidate for governor last year, as well as in 2014. Has a strong history. She is a retired U.S. Navy officer. Spending 20 years working for the government taught her to hate the government. But, you know, after a while, you're just like, well, I guess I should have finished my 20 years, so at least I can get paid for not having to go to work. If I would have stayed in the Coast Guard, I would have been retired by now. So I did. She's previously served twice as our state chair, or 2 different terms. They were subsequent. She served as secretary for the state party a number of times, and she is expected to win the nomination or win the election for first vice chair in Lansing today. If we really mean we want unity, maybe we should think about not being fucktards to each other and just saying, hey, we all hate each other. We're libertarians. We're family. Family fights like fucking hell. But when somebody else attacks the family, we attack them together. Please at least consider voting for Mary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fulner. As is present in our rules today, we also must have none of the above as an option for all party elections, and none of the above is also entitled to have a nomination speech if anyone would like. Or if, did I miss somebody that wanted to speak on one of the other candidates?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, is there speak for it?
Yes, nobody came close to their 5 minutes, so I'd welcome any other speakers to speak for any of the candidates.
Trevor Stepp, Livingston County. Wanted to speak today on behalf of Leah Daly for Vice Chair 1. She's a real workhorse in the party, and anyone who has attended any affiliate, any more than one affiliate meeting, you'd be surprised if she wasn't there. You know, every week she's at many of these affiliate meetings, and she has a deep Rolodex of, you know, you say, hey, do you know someone at this affiliate? She knows 10 people at every affiliate. She knows people who haven't been to affiliate meeting. And I think what Jim said is really that we think about what that unity is, and that unity today is here. And people that came that didn't want to be here. I think that they decided to come here and recognize a legitimate party. I think it's a big step forward, and I think that's the unity that we need here. And I hope you vote for Leah today.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. So I think it'd be appropriate to ask any further speakers for any of the candidates before we move to our votes. Would anyone else like to speak?
I like to.
I'm from Bruce J. Quays from Oakland County. I've worked with Leah. She's been more active than, it's crazy she's active, how active she is. And I think I'm not knowing other people, but I know that a vote for Leah would be a good vote. Thank you.
All right. If there are no further speakers, Mr. Shaw.
Jeff Patel, Oakland County Membership Chair of the State. I just want to speak on behalf of Ms. Daly. She's been outstanding support for me and membership committee. And as others have alluded, she's hung in. She joined the party a few years ago, and ever since then, she's been actively engaged with both sides of the party. I see both sides. I'm talking Mises, not Mises, but anyways, she's here today. She's a bridge for the other side, I guess, and you can't go wrong with her because she's basically 100% in. So I would appreciate your support for her.
All right. With that, yes.
Would this be the appropriate time to ask questions for any candidates?
Yes, you may.
Dominic Thalen from Capillary Libertarian Party, and I have a question for Leah. What is your specific plan to bring party unity back without compromising on our principles?
Thanks, that I don't know. I decided yesterday to move forward with this venture. And all I know at this time right now, everybody's been waiting to see what happens after these conventions. So I don't know what tomorrow brings, but like I said, I don't want the party to split. I feel like there has to be some type of negotiation, so I'm going to try. I've been wrestling in the mud for the last 4 months with both sides. And, I was telling everybody I still have this glimmer of hope that something can come about, but it's going to take, it's going to take a little bit of a miracle. So hopes, prayers, wishes are all welcome.
Thank you.
Do we have any other speakers or questions? Okay. All right, with that, we will move to our vote. Per our rules, a member needs to receive a majority of the votes cast to be elected. So I'll call out for each of our 4 options, our 3 candidates, and none of the above. And in case we do not reach a majority for a single of those candidates, we will eliminate the lowest vote getter and have another round of voting.
Always stays.
Sorry?
Rule always stays.
Yes. All right, with that, we'll start off in the order of nominations again. I would ask that all of those in support of Mr. DeYoung, please stand in support of Mr. DeYoung.
I stand to support myself.
Is the gentleman by the fireplace, are you standing for the vote? I believe I count 13 for Mr. Young. All right, everyone will sit. All of those in favor of Ms. Daly, please stand in support. I count 19. Alright. And then, all those in favor of Ms. Bazuma? Anthony? And all those in favor of none of the above? Okay, I see 3. So with a total of that 35 votes cast, with 19 of those votes, Ms. Staley is the winner. Congratulations. Possibly not very easily. I can recap those. It was 13 votes for Mr. Young, 19 for Ms. Daly, and 3 for Ms. Levy.
Okay, thank you very much. Most of you understand this is a slightly temporary position. We're gonna have a regular convention later in the summer. So during this time, I'll try to do something. And I'm gonna ask Ben for help too. And anybody else that wants to help certainly is welcome to lend a hand, especially with peace talks. So I have a card if anybody wants it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Daly. I look forward to working with you as well, and I think we can get some good results in that time. All right. So our next item of business, unless we have any updates about the lunch, we'll continue into our nominations for the second vice chair position. So this is our political director. I will now open the, oh, there is lunch actually. So I would like to move to adjourn.
No, move to recess.
Move to recess for lunch.
Second.
All right, thank you very much. So we will break, we'll aim for about an hour. My intention will be to, hopefully we'll have our guest speaker arriving around that time. We'll hear from them, and then we'll move forward with the last of our elections for today. So, no objection. Oh, yes. So we're in a little bit of a rough spot with the finances.